Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your number one source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All light. Welcome to the number one landscape lighting show in Spokane, Washington. That's right. It's Lighting for Profits, powered by Emery Allen. Our guest is from Spokane today, guys, and can't wait for this show. Super excited. So if you are looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, you're definitely in the right place. We're here to educate and motivate to help you dominate. So make sure you stick around. We got an awesome show coming up. We got the one and only Jody Moore coming in to the studios, our remote studios. I'm here in Lehigh at the Landscape Lighting Secret Studio. She's in Spokane, Washington, and Jody is the host of Better Than Happy podcast, and she is the founder of Jody Moore Coaching. So this is going to be really good. Most of these episodes at Lighting for Profits, I'm always thinking about others. I'm thinking, okay, what will the listener want? What will they need? What would they like? Who would they want to hear from? Today, I'm a little bit selfish. Today, it's going to be kind of like my own personal coaching session, you guys. And I'm really, really excited about this one because I've got questions. I want to like level up, and I'm like, this is my opportunity. So make sure you guys stick around. This is going to be a good one. And hey, happy Tuesday. Thanks for being here. Want to thank you guys for your support. And just in case you're bored and you're like, haven't done your good deed yet, I'll still accept a 5-star review. And all you have to do is go to Apple, hit the 5 stars. And if you're really feeling special, just write something nice. I was just talking to Jody before we started the show. My new goal is I need 100 reviews. Oh my gosh. Can't believe I just said that out loud. I only have 40, which, by the way, the 40 of you, I love you. I'm so thankful. Like, I'll be thankful for 41, but a new goal is 100. Have no idea how that's going to happen. But if you could get your friends, your family, your aunts, your uncles, I don't care. I just want to get 100 reviews. Can you guys help me out, please? That would be awesome, you guys. Really appreciate your support. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to get to do this, and it will make me feel really good. So go do your good deed today. Remember, too, guys, it's coming up soon. It's going to come up quick. We got Landscape Lighting Live, February 1st and 2nd. Go to landscapelightinglive.com to get more information and get your ticket. These always sell out, and I want you there. And we just announced we've got a new section. I don't even know what you call it. We got a new feature to Landscape Lighting Live. We have four mentors joining me to help teach, answer questions, and advise, right? So we got 4 mentors. These are members of Landscape Lighting Secrets. These guys are killing it. I have not announced their names yet. We're going to be announcing that soon on social media, but 4. So it's not just me. You don't have to put up with me for 2 days. We got a team now. We're building the dream team, baby. So I want to see you there. Go to landscapelightinglive.com and get your ticket. I want to thank Emery Allen. As soon as I can find the right button. Sometimes I just don't know how to find the right button, guys. All right, so what sets Emery Allen apart? Well, bulbs aside, they believe customer satisfaction should be the top priority always. Emery Allen goes out of their way to ensure the lighting professionals have access to the best light sources with the highest quality components suited specifically for the landscape lighting industry. At the end of the day, it's what's on the inside that counts. So take advantage of Emery Allen's world-class customer service and get 10% off your first order for new clients. All you got to do is go email Tom G at emeryallen.com and he'll hook you up. Just mention you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits. Mention we're homies. It's Ryan Lee, your buddy, whatever. Whatever you got to do, just email Tom G at emeryallen.com and he'll hook you up with the best discounted contractor pricing. Don't waste your time. Don't go to the website unless you like overpaying. Just email Tom G at emeryallen.com and he'll get you hooked up. All right, guys, in just a couple minutes, I'm so excited. I'm going to have my own personal coaching session with Jody Moore. And she is an expert at a lot of different things, but I got to hear her speak recently and I was blown away, taking notes and everything. And actually, when I got home, a lot of you guys know Darcy, my assistant. She was like, "Hey, so how was it?" And I was like, "Good." She's like, "How was Jody Moore?" I'm like, "Are you spying on me? Like, what? What do you mean? Like, how do you know who was there?" And she's like, "Oh, I looked and saw the speaker lineup." And I was like, "How did you know who that was?" I didn't know who that was. And turns out a lot of people know who she is. And it was awesome because we're like comparing notes and stuff. And she was telling me about all these things that she's learned from her and stuff. And she's like, "You know what? Let's get her on the podcast." So here we are, and I'm excited. So stick around. She's coming on in just a couple minutes. Before we have her on, I want to talk about something that just happened today. You've heard the saying, the cliche, whatever. Like today is the first day of the rest of your life, and is it a cliche or is it just truth? Because it kind of is, right? But we did it, guys. We hired a salesperson, which I want to figure out a better title because I don't like salesperson. People think salespeople are slimy. But I'm thinking of like chief life changer or director of changing lives. I don't know if you guys have ideas. Let me know, because we're not in the coaching business. We're not in the sales business. We're in the life changing business. And this morning, I had the opportunity to onboard Jeffrey, and he's amazing. He's going to be awesome for our team. And I wanted to talk about this experience because it was almost spiritual for me. I'm like, this was awesome. Um, I want to ask you guys, what is your training? Like, what does your training program consist of? When you bring on a new person onto your team, what does that look like? Like for me, it used to just be like, here's a shovel. Let's go trench some wire, and then after 5 minutes, they were trained. I was like, all right, I'm going to go pick up lunch. Um, but honestly, today was so good. It was so good. Partly because I'm getting better as a leader, as a trainer, as a business person, and partly because Jeffrey is awesome. And before we got started, I said, "Hey, here's kind of what our plan is for the next few days. We're gonna go over this. We're gonna go over our company, and we're gonna go over our like our core values, and we're gonna go over the position. But we're not gonna get a lot of like training on like how to work with clients today." And I said, "But before we get started, do you have any questions?" And he's like, "Yeah, I have like a lot." He had a lot of questions. But the first one that he said was, why did you decide to start a coaching business 3 years ago after you sold your business? Like, why not just come to Utah from Texas and start another lighting business?" I was like, "It's a really good question." And I thought that was cool because he asked me my why. He asked me, like, why are we doing this? And I couldn't believe that that's his first question. Like, why are we doing this? And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It gave me a chance to share my story with him. Like, and we went way back to like right when I was getting married and washing windows to save money to get married and stuff like that, and how I got into the lighting industry and why I sold it. Because he's thinking, like, well, if you're so good and you figured out all these things, why not start another lighting business? Right. And I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking like that too. But the plan wasn't to sell the business. I wasn't even that smart at the time. Like I didn't know you could sell a business. Um, there was some things going on internally with my brother and I, and he wanted to go left. I wanted to go right. We went straight down the middle and no one's happy. Right. So there's a whole long story, which he heard today. But we really got into like my story and my why and why we're doing this stuff. And we didn't really talk about landscape lighting. We didn't talk about, wire connectors or anything like that. We really just talked about, um, why we're doing this. And one of the things that I wrote down early on when I was launching this coaching program and really getting in as a coach in this industry, I put, we believe that by helping other entrepreneurs live their full potential, we can change the world. I wrote that down. I really meant it right at the time, but I also didn't fully understand what that meant. I wrote it down and I was like, yeah, I do believe we can change the world. And I believe that because like, as I became a better entrepreneur, I became a better father. I became a better husband. At first I was terrible. Like I had to go to therapy because I wasn't giving my wife attention. I wasn't giving my kids attention. I was so busy working in the business. Right. And so I learned a lot through this process, but it was crazy. I'm telling you, this morning was like literally like a spiritual experience. What's up, Spencer? Good to see you here, man. 1-2-1 is so much more effort than 1-to-many. Coaching is where we serve at a higher level. I love it. I read that as like numbers 1-2-1. um, but it was so good because I got to like reconnect with our why. Lately, I've been so busy And I'm like traveling and speaking and training and coaching and going to this conference and whatever. It was crazy, right? And I almost needed this experience of training Jeffrey today because we got into our why, and I was sharing testimonials with him and videos and talking about how we're not just a landscape lighting coaching program. Like, that's lame. Like, we are changing lives. And I shared a post that one of our clients, John Van, posted on Facebook. And like, I seriously, every time I talk about it, I almost tear up because what he's talking about, how he was able to get a new house for his daughter and his wife and a new car, and he dresses nicer now. And he got out of the ghetto. He lived next to a whorehouse and a drug house. I'm not kidding you guys. And he was able to start this brand new life, all because he made the decision to hire a coach, right? And I can't take credit for that. Like, he had the courage to move forward. He had the courage to do things that he didn't want to do, like, and others are not doing in the program. And he's getting success because of his courage. So I shared with him some pictures of people online posting pictures of themselves. This one guy, brand new, he's at the hospital, sees his new, I can't remember if it was a boy or a girl, sees his brand new baby and is holding her in his landscape lighting secret shirt, coddled in. Like, these people need this community. They need this identity. It blows my mind. One of our members got baptized in a landscape lighting secret shirt, you guys. Okay? Like, that's what we're doing here. This is bigger than, doubling your profits. This is bigger than making more money. Like, that's great, right? This is about a movement. This is about changing people's lives. And I forgot. Like, I literally had forgotten over the past 6 months. I was so busy that, like, we're doing awesome things. And he was like loving it, So I was like thinking about this, and I want to share this with you because what is your onboarding process like? What is your training like? Do you get into the employee handbook and like start going over the rules? Or do you get into like, what are we really doing here? And I told him something I'll share with you guys real quick. And then I promise, guys, we're going to have Jody on and it's going to be amazing. I told him something is, when I coach people for landscape lighting, one of the things I do that I help them with is convince them of three things. Three things. One, people need landscape lighting. A lot of people think people don't need landscape lighting. They want it. Like, rich people get landscape lighting. But I'm just telling you right now, everybody needs landscape lighting. Not everyone can afford it. Like, I'll give you that. Not everyone wants it, but everybody needs it. The safety, the security element, the mental health. We solve mental health problems, you guys. When it gets dark early in the winter months, seasonal affective disorder, SAD, look it up. It's real. We help prevent that because we bring light into people's lives. Okay. So people need landscape lighting, whether or not they get it or whether or not they can afford it. That's another question. Number two, people need landscape lighting from me, and you insert your name in the me, right? Why do they need landscape lighting from you? If you don't know the answer to that, then you can't expect your clients to say yes because you don't know why they need it from you. Then they could just go with somebody else, right? You need to get crazy about this, like mentally ill about this. Go live a little and just get crazy with it. Like, I believe people need landscape lighting. When I was running my business, they needed it from me. And finally, the third thing, people need landscape lighting from me today. Like, they can't wait till tomorrow. They can't wait till next week, next month, because what potential harm or bad things can happen to their life? How could we impact their life in a positive way if we convince them? If we get better at convincing them to move forward with us today. So the reason I shared with him, I told him the same thing. People need landscape lighting secrets. People need landscape lighting secrets today. People need landscape lighting secrets from me today. When you get convinced of those three things, there's no reason why someone wouldn't join, right? And we're literally changing lives. We're guiding, we're advising, we're helping people make the right choice. So I want to encourage you guys to not only do a better job training, but come up with an onboarding process. But convince yourself you're not selling anything. You're not selling landscape lights. You're helping, you're advising, you're guiding. You're helping them make the right choice, right? And the right choice should be to go with you. If it's not, then you got to fix something. Figure out if you need to hire better people, get better product, better process, customer service, whatever it is, right? There's a lot of things to work on, but get crazy about it. So I'm going to leave you guys with that because I've got a personal coaching session to get to, and I want to get our guest on here. Let me know if you guys are ready. I know I am. So let's get the music going, and get Miss Jody Moore coming on. Maybe. All right, let's go. What is up?
Can I just say, I have Christmas lights on my house that I tell my husband we're not taking them down till March. After Christmas, I start calling them mental health lights. So I think I need to call up I need someone needs to email me and hook me up with some landscape lighting. I'm just saying.
Let's go.
Missing from my life.
That is so awesome. Do you really call them mental health lights?
I really do. After Christmas, my husband's like, well, we're going to take the lights down. I'm like, no, you're not. It gets dark here in Spokane by 4 p.m. in the middle of winter. And
oh my gosh.
I need some mental health lights. So anyway.
I love that. Thank you for like solidifying, because I've been preaching this message of like, we can actually solve, like, this is medicinal. Like, we can solve the mental health. We can't solve it, but we can help.
But it helps.
Yeah.
It helps. Yeah.
Love that.
I'm
So
in.
I'll get you hooked up with one of our members, and they will take care of it. That is awesome. Well,
all right. I'm so excited to coach you, Ryan Lee.
I know. I forgot to tell you, this is just a personal coaching session.
I can't think of anything better. Let's do it. You opened the door, so game on.
Because I have some questions, but I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm totally vulnerable. If you have like, if you want to run me through the ringer.
Oh, I will.
Okay. Yes, we got people volunteering. They're saying,
yes, I'm in Spokane, Washington.
Landscape lighting for me today.
There we go, Greg.
So rather than me reading your bio, maybe would you just introduce yourself real quick? Tell us how you became the Jody Moore. You got this awesome podcast. You're a life coach. You're a life changer.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. I worked in corporate for many years, and then towards the end, I was a leadership coach, and that's where I was first introduced to the power of coaching, and then was laid off from that corporate job. And so I just kind of followed my passion of coaching, ended up becoming certified as a coach. And so for about 10 years now, I've just been trying to teach anyone who will listen about the power of the tools that I have as a coach now. And so I coach people on everything from like parenting problems and in-law problems, relationship stuff, to business. I have a whole business program where we coach on building businesses, and I just love it. I think that taking the right action is an important part of achieving your goals. But I think without getting your head in the right place, it's not going to work, quote unquote, work or be sustainable. And so I like helping with both, but the mindset piece is where I always begin. And anyway, 10 years later, we got a lot of people that want that kind of help, it turns out. So it's very fun.
That's so cool. I'm completely inspired. I got to hear you speak. I didn't know who you were like 4 months ago or whatever. And then now I've kind of gone down that rabbit hole, listened to some of your podcasts and stuff. And I'm like, gosh, it's so awesome what you've done. Think about the ripple effect, like not only the direct number of people that you've helped, but like their lives and the people that they've helped and all that stuff. So congratulations.
I hope so. Thank you. I feel very lucky to get to do something I love so much and make money at it. It's very fun.
The mindset thing, oh man, it's so real. When I launched this business, I keep going back to that all the time, because I'm like, okay, here's what you need to do to double your profits. Okay, here's what you need to do to replace yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I start thinking, I'm like, you know what? Like, a lot of these people already know the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as humans, we kind of already know what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But like, why are we not doing it? Like, if we want to lose weight, there's like, just eat less and like work out more, there's ways to do it, but we kind of get lazy or complacent, or we don't want to do the hard thing. So
okay. Well, first of all, Ryan, you're not lazy.
Yes.
Neither is anybody listening to this, even though some of you are listening to this instead of doing something else you probably should be doing, but that's okay. Stay with us for a minute. So that's a question we all ask ourselves. Why can't I just get myself to do it? Right. And it's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's because you're a actually healthy, high functioning human being. It's just because your brain doesn't want to do anything that it thinks might be painful. And that includes physical pain and emotional pain. It wants to do things that it thinks sound pleasurable. Again, both physical and emotional pleasure. And it wants to save energy. That's called the motivational triad, which is at the root of every one of our healthy human brains. Seek pleasure, avoid pain, save energy. So you can call it lazy, but a lot of us have judgment behind that word. So I don't recommend it. I recommend that you go, yeah, of course, I don't want to go learn this new marketing strategy or post on Instagram or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Of course, I don't want to do that. It sounds either like it could be painful or I have to, minimize some pleasure, or I have to do something challenging that requires my prefrontal cortex, and my brain thinks I need to save energy just in case if there's a tiger attack, right? My primitive brain,
Yeah.
and I might need that energy. So, of course, I don't want to do that thing. And of course, I am not doing it. Then from there, from understanding that you're healthy, normal, high functioning, and still capable of achieving all your goals, then we can start to take a look at the more interesting parts of your thinking and gain some leverage over it. So, you with me so far?
I'm with you. I'm taking
Okay.
notes.
Okay, good.
Avoid pain, seek
there's this,
pleasure, save energy.
yeah, that's just default brain status. But
I'm
we
gonna,
do
I'm
have
gonna,
the,
I think
sorry,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead.
use this in an argument when when my wife calls me lazy, I'm like, I'm just seeking pleasure or avoiding pain, you know?
Saving energy. That's
Yeah.
all I'm doing. Natural, healthy, not a sociopath. Healthy human being, that means, right? You can. And then tell her Jody Moore said so. But we also have the ability to navigate. So that's kind of the lower default primitive brain, right? That is really strong. It yells really loud and it has lots of arguments. But then we have this prefrontal cortex that is the more intelligent, higher part of the brain that realizes that it's okay to do some hard things. There's probably not going to be a tiger attack. It's okay to use some energy, and we can forego some pleasure in the name of what we want in the long run and not die. And that might be good for us. So it's sort of like the toddler brain and the adult brain is how I like to think about it, right? So we're not mad at the toddler brain. It's normal for the toddler brain to have little tantrums and we just want candy and whatever. But we don't want the toddler making the decisions, driving the car. We want the adult brain driving and making the big decisions. Although sometimes we want to give the toddler what it wants as well. That's okay. So, um, one of the best ways to do that I know is to take a look at, there's a model that I teach that I learned from Brooke Castillo, who owns the Life Coach School where I was trained. And it's just a 5-part model. And we just take anything that's going on in your business. And maybe we can do this with something going on for you, Ryan. It could be your business or personal or whatever. And we use this model to get the adult brain driving and sort of take a look at what's going on and at the same time calm the toddler so that it's not having a tantrum, if you will. So let me just walk you through the model and then we'll take examples. Or maybe if people want to put stuff in the comments, we can take their examples too. Okay.
Yeah, love it.
Okay. So the first part of the model is the circumstance, and that is just the things happening outside of us, things that are outside of our control. We always make the circumstance be the facts of the situation. So one of the things a lot of entrepreneurs are saying right now is like, well, the economy is struggling. Okay, we wouldn't make that the circumstance because that's subjective. The economy is struggling. We could take, and I always tell people, give me a specific fact because you're just one person with one business. The overall economy isn't as relevant as like, give me one fact. Maybe you had a sales call yesterday and the customer said, our money's really tight. I can't afford it right now. Okay, that would be a fact. That's what my potential customer said. We put that in the circumstance line, okay? Then after the circumstance, the next part of the model is the thought. So we have these amazing brains that make meaning out of circumstances. So somebody said that word or said those words, right? I can't afford it right now. We had a bunch of thoughts about it. Thoughts are just sentences in the brain that tell us whether this is good news or bad news, or whether we're headed for disaster or safety, or we have thoughts about ourselves, thoughts about the customers, thoughts about the world, thoughts of all kinds of thoughts, right? When we just take one at a time, we plug it into the model, we have the circumstance, then we have our thought about it. If my thought is, see, the economy sucks right now, then that thought generates for me the next line of the model, which is the feeling. Okay, so feelings, just emotions in the body, chemicals and hormones get released, things like dopamine, adrenaline, cortisol, right? They all have these scientific names. I don't know all of them, but we have feelings in the body. And those feelings are the fuel for the fourth line of the model, our action. So suddenly the way I show up, the way I behave in this interaction, if my customer says, I can't afford it right now, my thought is, see, the economy's in the toilet and I feel scarcity, let's say, then my action gives that away, even though I try to hide it. I probably wouldn't say that all these things out loud to my customer, but my tone, my body language, whether or not I ask more questions, in this case, I become a less effective salesperson from scarcity. I either just kind of walk away altogether, or I start becoming what we call salesy and pushy, right? Scarcity, not the fuel I want driving me when I'm in a sales situation. My result then ends up being some kind of proof that my thought is true. So most likely I'm not going to close that sale, and I'm going to reinforce for myself the fact that the economy sucks and none of us can make money.
Nice. I
So
mean, not nice, but
not nice, but that's the
100%.
reality. Now, we all think it's the circumstance creating our feelings. Like, I felt scarce because my customer said they couldn't afford it. People say this to me all the time. Whenever people say they can't afford it, I just shut down. I don't know what to do. I'm like, no. It's not when people say that. It's when you have a thought about it. Oh no, I don't want to be pushy, or whatever your thought is. That's when you shut down. You with me? It's not
Yep.
them saying those words.
So what you're saying is like the results that we have right now in our life are a reflection of the thoughts, and that if we want to change our results, if we want to change our actions, it's not our circumstance. It honestly is how we think about it.
That's exactly right. And that's why, like you said, well, we all know what to do. We know I should eat better. I should work out. I should post on social. I should talk. I should call people, whatever it is that you want to be doing in your action line. Yes, do that. And it might help your result. But if you don't look at the thought feeling before the action, then you might get might see some temporary movement or something, but you won't get the long-term sustainable change that you want if you don't take a look at the thoughts and feelings driving you, which, like you started out talking about, your why. That's why your why matters so much, because your why, if you have an inspiring why, then it generates inspiration and motivation. That's much more useful fuel than just like, hey, do this job or else you're going to get written up by Friday. Right? It's a different thought feeling driving your employees if they understand your why. So yeah, it starts with the thoughts, and then everything else flows from there. So here's where this becomes really powerful. When we can identify, oh, this is the thinking, feeling, action that I'm operating from that's giving me this result. Then we have the ability to go, now what do I want my result to be? And what do I need to be thinking and feeling and doing if I want to achieve that result? And it's not just about thinking positive and chanting mantras. It's about finding thoughts that are already believable to you, that feel available to you, but they're not the first thing that that toddler brain
Yeah.
is sending up, and then choosing to redirect your brain into practice believing something more useful, in this case, in a sales call, right? So, I don't know if you have an example, or if anybody listening wants to give us an example of something that you're stuck on or struggling with, and I can show you how we put it into this model to get leverage.
Yeah. Well, so if someone is here live and they want to, run it through here, let us know something that you feel stuck on. While we're waiting for that, I have a question for you. The
Okay.
same scenario that we're talking about, like you said, like it really starts with our thoughts. So, like, it's not just in like, oh, I'll just be positive. How do we replace when we have that person say, oh, I can't afford it? How do
Mhm.
we replace that thought with a positive thought instead of a negative one?
Yeah. And again, so what I like to do is remember that all thoughts are allowed. Your thoughts aren't wrong. But sometimes the most positive sounding thoughts actually are creating problems for us. So, for example, if somebody says to me, well, whenever my customer says I can't afford it, my thought is, I don't want to be pushy,
Yep.
right? That sounds like a nice thought. Like, of course, I don't want you to be pushy either. I don't want you to manipulate people into a situation that isn't good for anyone. But the thought, I don't want to be pushy and I don't want to, if somebody really can't afford it, I feel bad. All those kinds of thoughts
Yep.
are creating a feeling for you of like sort of a withdraw, a backing up, a whatever. What I point out to people in that situation is that you're making it about you, right? When the customer says I can't afford it, and you're like, I don't want to be annoying, I don't want to be pushy, I don't want to come across as aggressive. I'm like, why is it suddenly about you? This is not about you. This is about the person that you're trying to take care of here. That you've got something you could offer them that could help them that they want and need. And now you've suddenly made it about you. So instead of just switching to like, it's all right, we're not saying it's all right to be pushy and aggressive, whatever. We're saying like, how can it might even be a thought like, how can I make sure that this person, whether they buy from me or not, how do I make sure they leave this call better off than before they came to it?
Nice.
So even just a slight shift in my thinking like that is going to open me up to have further dialogue and try to take care of this person in any way that I possibly can, whether they buy from me or not. Right?
I love that. I'm a little bit more rough around the edges than you.
Okay.
I
Tell me.
feel okay. I feel like if I don't like help them make a decision, and
Mhm,
maybe it's not me, maybe it's to go forward with someone else.
mhm.
Like you said, at least get them in a position better than they were before, then I'm doing a disservice to them. And I feel like,
Yes.
and I look at it internally as like, I'm selfish because I don't want to be uncomfortable right now. And I'm not willing to work through that uncomfort because, like you said, and I like how you put it, because it's like, when did it become about me? It's not
Yeah.
about me. That's a selfish maneuver here. Like,
Yeah.
get uncomfortable, get unselfish, and help them make the right choice.
And I'm totally with you on that. Get uncomfortable in the name of helping people, right? So I used to sell a really expensive program for somebody else's business. And it was like an $18,000 program. And people would come to this call and they were just paying for it personally out of their own pockets, right? And they were talking to me because they wanted to go through this program, but they all almost always, a lot of them anyway, had this financial barrier. I just don't know how I'm going to pay for it, or a lot of fear. What if I can't make the money back? It was a program that they could build a business with in the end, right? So um my thought was exactly like you're saying. If I can help them leave this call with a decision, they're better off than leaving this call without a decision, right? Because that lingering, I don't know, maybe I need to think about it kind of thing eats away at us. I really do believe like we all have indecision fatigue. Um, and so that might be the thought driving me in that call. Now, and we all have our own ways, right? That we did things. I was personally am not the type that's like, before we get off the call, you tell me yes or no. But I would say, well, listen, I would make sure that we had a thorough conversation about everything. And that, if they were like, I just want to talk it over with my spouse or whatever. You guys, I'm sure you get that a lot too, right? I need to talk
Never
it over
heard
with
that.
my spouse.
Yeah.
um, I was always like, totally. I'm the same way. If I'm going to make a big move like this, I like to discuss it with my spouse too. But I didn't leave it at that. I was like, what do you think your spouse is going to say?
Love that question. I love that.
And if they're like, well, he's totally against it, I was like, okay, why are we having this conversation then? What do you think? And anyway, whatever they said, it just opens it up for further dialogue. Um, but in the end, I always just said, okay, well, here's what is going to happen. I'm going to hold this spot for you for 24 hours and I'll send you the link. And if you want it, it's yours. And if you don't, I'm going to give it to the next person. So you got 24 hours so that it sort of forces a decision. But I am not doing this for me. I'm not doing it because I need more people to sign up. I got plenty of people to go talk to. I'm doing this for their sake because I know if I don't give them a deadline, then they're going to linger in indecision. And I don't want to be one more thing in their heads. You see what I'm saying? So it's just a slight shift that in the end makes me a better salesperson and a better coach. And so we want to just pay attention to what we're thinking in the end.
Gosh, that's so good. That is so good. Make it less about you, make it about them. I can't remember. I'm terrible with like quotes and stuff. There's so many people that are good, like, yeah, the Bible says this, and then the scripture says it. Like, oh, there's a quote. There's a guy, and he's a famous sales trainer that says, like, help enough people get what they want, and you'll get, I don't know,
Yeah.
paradise.
And you'll always have, I know the quote too. And it was a Dan Sullivan or Stephen R. Covey or somebody.
Somebody
I don't know.
important. I know. I'm not the guy to bring up quotes, but it's to that point is like, just help them. You know, if you
Yeah.
serve them, if you help them, and you come with that, if that's truly in your heart and that's your intent,
Mhm.
first of all, you're going to be way more successful because people feel that that's not normal.
Mhm.
Everybody else is, worried about the commission or whatever.
Mhm.
If you're just thinking about how you're going to help them and change their life, that comes across. People feel that. And then you're going to have more courage to ask questions like, well, what do you think your spouse is going to say? And then you're going to
Yeah.
get to the real root of the thing. And they're going to say, well, they're probably going to say this. And they mask it. They disguise it like it's their spouse's, objection, even though it's theirs. And it allows you to uncover that and talk through that like normal human beings. It's not
Yeah,
about
that's right.
closing more cells. It's literally just about helping more people. So I love
And
that.
that does require that you pay attention to your own thoughts of scarcity, right? So if I'm just faking it, if I'm like really desperate for this business and I'm just trying to pretend like I'm not, they're going to feel that. None of us are Tom Hanks or Meryl Streep. We're not able to hide it, right? So you have to really work on understanding that there are plenty of customers and clients. There are more people who want landscape lighting in their yards than you could ever possibly help and have the money to pay for it and are willing and want to hire you to do it. They just don't know about you. We need them to know that you exist. It's like me coming on this call, and when you said that about mental health, I'm like, I need lights in my yard. I don't need to keep my Christmas lights up till March. I need someone to put lights in my yard. And like I hadn't thought about it before. We're not always thinking about it. So how do you serve people in such a way? And I love the world we live in today because it's like you doing this podcast, right? You're like, I can go live on Facebook and YouTube and wherever, and I can serve people, and it lets people know that you're here and you're willing to help. There's a guy I just found online, and now I can't remember his Instagram handle, but he's like some kind of lawn service. He's like a landscaper, right? And he goes around, he finds houses that are like abandoned or nobody's touched the lawn for like sometimes years. And he knocks on the door and he says, "Can I clean up your yard for free?" And then he does a fast motion video of him. Have you seen this?
No.
He cleans, and it's like weeds overgrown over the whole sidewalk, sometimes going up the front door. And he does a fast motion video of him cleaning up the whole yard and then mowing. And it's like,
That's cool.
I just sit there and watch these videos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's a lawn guy. And he's like, how am I going to let people know I help? I'm going to go make these videos that blow people away because then the people are so grateful. Anyway, there's just so many ways to do it in today's world. But that's all we're trying to do is find the people that want what you have and are willing to pay for it and have the money. And there's tons of them out there.
Well said.
Okay.
By the way, I found out it's Zig Ziglar.
Oh,
Can't
Zig
believe-
Ziglar.
can't believe I didn't know this. It says, if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want.
Amen, Zig Ziglar.
I know. R.I.P.
It's true.
I do love that because it takes it all. It's like, when did it become about you? Like you're serving others, you're helping others. So well said.
Yeah. So if we have us in the thought line, anytime I look at my model, I do this: circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result. And I just plug what's happening into my model. And if I have me in the thought line, sometimes I just really want to do a good job on this talk. Like when I spoke at Funnel Hacking Live, right? People like, are you nervous? And I honestly don't really get nervous, only because I have practiced so much the thought, it's not about you, Jody Moore. Like, yeah, you might say something dumb. You might look stupid. You might trip and fall. People might not like you. All of that's valid. It might happen. But who cares? If there's one person out there that takes something away from it, won't that be cool? And won't it be a cool experience for you to go out there and see what you can do? Like, it's not about me is the constant thought I have to put in my head. And then I show up better in my business.
Gosh, I love that. Yeah, I've written this down. I've heard actually variations of something similar, but it was this this was this was more detailed. So I'm gonna like print this out. I need to put it on my wall somewhere.
Mhm.
I love it. We get to
Yeah.
control our future, like we don't have to just leave it up to random acts of others and circumstance. I
Yeah.
love this. Yeah.
So what's something, Ryan, that you want to have in your result line? What's a result you want?
A result line. Hmm, trying to think like what to say specifically. I mean, I'm trying to build this business
Yeah.
um, to where we have a team, a well-oiled machine where I don't have to do everything, and
Okay.
I'm still doing a lot more than I want.
Okay. Okay.
So
So you want to be able to work fewer hours, sounds like,
yes,
and have more clients or revenue.
yes, sounds glorious.
Okay, perfect. So you can plug that into the result part of your model, right? I just write it down like fewer hours and more clients, more revenue.
Okay, yeah. So let's say like my result this next year is I want to have 300 clients in my coaching program.
Okay, perfect. And you're not going to work more hours. Ideally, you might even work less. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So we make that your result. Okay. And then we can work up in the model. The circumstance is just your current business. We'll just make that the circumstance. Okay.
Okay.
So then we start asking, okay, what do I, and you can do this in any order, but we could just start with the action of what will I need to do to make that happen? Now, a lot of times the answer to that is, I don't know.
Well,
Right.
oh,
But
what I
so I
kind of
don't know. Do you know what you would need to do to get 300 clients and work fewer hours?
well, no, actually I don't know because I would have already done it.
Oh, yeah. So often the answer is I don't know. So it's okay if the answer is I don't know in your action line, what I recommend that you put in there is just what is the next thing that you think you should be working on? The next kind of like, we talk about working in your business and working on your business. What's the next like I like a 90-day kind of um goal that we could
Got it.
go for,
Okay.
right?
So that'll be our marketing that we're launching that we need to do right now.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
okay.
So it's some kind of marketing, and maybe you give yourself a goal around that of what result you want to see from that marketing. But it should be something that we think might lead to the overall result we're trying to get by the end of the year, the 300 clients, right?
Yep.
So then we ask ourselves, what feeling? We're just going up the model here. What is the feeling that we need, ideally, fueling your marketing launch?
The feeling I think has to be around like how and why we're helping people.
Okay. So when we think feeling, let's think one word. Okay. So do you want it to be, and this is all personal, you guys, for you listening. There's not a right or wrong answer to this question. Sometimes I go, you know what? I think I need to have the feeling of committed because this is,
Uh,
if it's something that that again is going to be hard or maybe feels uncomfortable to my brain, commitment is I do this no matter what. Sometimes I'm like, I want to be inspired and motivated. Sometimes that's the right feeling. So it's kind of a personal choice. What we just know we don't want fear and scarcity to be in the F line, but it could be committed, it could be inspired, it could be motivated, it could be excited, it could be determined. So it doesn't always have to feel good because commitment and determination don't feel great, but they're really useful emotions at times.
I know that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking more like determined.
Yeah.
Like I've got this goal, I've got this vision of what I think I can do and what the
Hmm.
industry needs and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know how to do it yet by any means,
Right.
but I do feel determined. But
Okay.
that also is like that. I don't like that feeling that much because it is kind of frustrating. Like it's not like, hey, I'm a happy person. I'm excited to be here. It's like
Yeah.
this is hard.
So that's a good point because sometimes people think what we're doing in coaching is just making everyone feel better. I'm like, no, sometimes if you need to be courageous, then there's fear there. If you need to be determined, there's something challenging on the other side of it. Otherwise, we don't need determination. If we need to be committed, it's something we don't really want to do. So I'm all for you operating from useful emotions, not always positive emotions. Okay. But there's a difference between these, what I'll just simplify down to negative emotions because they don't feel great. There's useful negative emotion, and then there's not useful negative emotion. Fear and scarcity tend to be the most common ones for entrepreneurs that are not useful. But determination, courage, commitment, those are useful.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So to be determined, then, what would you need to be thinking and believing?
I would need to be thinking and believing that, like, if we don't do this, we're going to let down a lot of people. Like, we have the ability to impact a ton of lives.
Okay. All right. I think it's a good start, but let's just check it out. If I don't do this, I'm going to be letting down a lot of people. It feels, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that thought to me feels a little bit fear-based. Like everybody's counting on you, Ryan.
Yeah, well, I could see that.
Here's the other thing I'm just going to push back on you with this one is it feels like a lot of pressure, and I think you can be determined without pressure. I want you to be committed to your goal, but I don't want you to be attached to your goal.
Mm,
You know the difference?
I like that.
Like you can be committed. Like, you know what? We're going to go all in and we're going to hit this goal because wouldn't it be awesome if we do? Like, think how cool that would be. Think how well that would set us up for the next step. Think how much that would help all the people that we would end up helping. And like, what an awesome world we live in that from my home office, I can hit this thing or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the kind of determination versus the kind of determination, like, if we don't, uh-oh.
Yeah, right. No, this is
You know what I
huge.
mean?
Yeah, this is huge
Yeah.
because I do feel like that, and I think this is why we're going through this exercise is because I can literally change my future right now by
Yes.
changing that thought.
Yes, because when you have the pressure and the oh no, and whether it's like you said, I'm going to let down a bunch of people, or for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's like I just need to finally prove to someone that I'm worth it, or I got to show myself I can do this, and then they're waiting to give themselves permission to believe in themselves. And all of that is so heavy. It's hard to get because you got to get creative when you're doing a marketing campaign, right? It doesn't
Right.
generate creativity. Or I want you to think like determined and committed can still be playful
So
because
would the thought be just because it would be freaking awesome?
yeah, that's my favorite. That's why on my mug I have this is going to be fun.
Okay.
And I set
Yeah, that sounds cool
gigantic,
too.
I set huge goals and I'm like, you know what would be awesome if we we do about $5 million in revenue right now in my coaching business. I'm like, what if we did 50
Nice.
million? Wouldn't that be awesome? Like, not just because the money's fun, but like, think of how many people we'd have to impact. We'd probably end up on the Oprah Winfrey show, or we were like, whatever. Like, wouldn't that be cool? But I don't go to the place of like, because if we don't, all those people are going to
There's
suffer.
people
Because
out there
here's
that
the
need
truth:
us.
there are other people that can help people in the world.
I love that.
You know?
Why am I putting that pressure on myself? Dang it. I'm
Like,
changing it right now.
yeah.
I think it's because honestly, I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I would have had this. I wish I would have had someone help me. And like, look what we're able to do for people and stuff like that. So that's unnecessary pressure. So
Yes.
I love that. No, that's huge. I'm just going to start doing stuff because it would be freaking awesome.
And then it is freaking awesome. And then sometimes I don't hit my goals. I'm like, oh, well, that didn't work. But you know what? Let's try something else. So we want to make it so that it's not a roller coaster of emotion. We want to have fun along the way. And then it's fun to hit it, but it's not so devastating if you don't. And then you can keep going.
Love that. Holy cow. Send me an invoice. This is good stuff.
It's good stuff. It's so much fun. I love this model. Yeah, then you go take the action and you've got to follow through. Are you pretty good at follow through?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty good at it.
Good. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
for anybody
I've
listening
hired
that's not,
people. I've
go
hired
ahead.
people
Sorry.
to help me with that. Like
Good.
if it's just me, then I can make excuses like, yeah, I can take the next week off or whatever. But now
Yeah.
I have a team that relies on me. So
Yeah.
maybe that's good or bad. I don't know. But that's pressure that I put on myself to make sure I'm going to take these
Yeah. That
actions.
definitely helps. If you have anybody who doesn't have a team yet or isn't in that situation, I'll just say it's really worth working on your relationship with yourself. Which sounds very coachy and woo woo, but here's what I mean by it is with other people. Like if I tell you, hey, Ryan, I'll log in by, whatever time it was, 2:45, I'll be there live, ready to go on your podcast. And then I just go, you know what? I don't feel like it today. And I just don't show up, then eventually, like that's going to impact my relationship with you, right? And the way you think about whether or not I'm reliable and trustworthy and whether you count on me and all of that. Well, we do this same thing to ourselves, but we overpromise. So with other people, we tend to underpromise and try to overdeliver, right? Because we know like my reputation depends on it. But with ourselves, we do the opposite. We overpromise and underdeliver. So we tell ourselves, that's it. I'm never eating sugar again. And I'm going to post on Instagram every day this week. And I'm going to call up everyone on my contact list. Like we set these, we go, that's it. Starting right now, I'm going to be perfect. And then we just blow everything off so easily. And we wonder why we're so lacking in confidence and why we have to have outside people hold us accountable. It's because we've tarnished our own relationship with ourselves and shown ourselves that we're not trustworthy, not reliable. So I tell people, you got to go back to, you got to start fresh. You got to go, listen, I literally talk to myself in the mirror. I'm like, hey, Jody Moore, give me another chance. I'm
Nice.
not going to promise you anything that I can't commit to and follow through on. And if I tell you I am going to do it, it's as good as done. And then I stop telling myself I'm going to do these outrageous things. I say, you know what? Maybe tomorrow we only have sugar once a day instead of all day. Let's see if we can, like, it's the habit changes, right? Or if I want to use in social media and I haven't used it at all, I'm like, let's just try to get 3 posts up this month. And I set realistic goals and I do it just because I told myself I would, even
Okay.
when I don't want to.
Let's talk about the goals, because sometimes they're realistic like this when you're trying to create habits and change habits and things like
Yes.
that. I've also heard you speak of setting wild goals
Yes.
that are not achievable, or maybe that you just don't know. Like you said, like I want to build a $50 million coaching business. How cool would
Yeah.
that be?
Yeah.
Why would you suggest that to someone? When I tell my wife that, she thinks I'm crazy, and she's
Yeah.
like, "But I feel bad when I don't reach my goals. I want to do like little bitty goals."
Yeah. Okay, I'm so excited about this topic right now. Um, Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan have a book out called 10X is easier than 2X. And he talks a lot about this. So if you set for yourself a 10X goal, let's just call it a big, crazy, unrealistic goal. And by the way, those are like 3 to 5 year goals. Some people like to make them 10-year goals, but I like to make it a 3 to 5 year, like, could I 10X my business in the next 3 years? And my brain's like, no, I don't know how. Okay,
Right.
well, then that's a good goal for me because it means I can't just take what I'm doing now and increase it and get there. I can't 10x what I'm doing now. There's not enough hours in the day, right? So it means I'm going to have to do it in a totally different way. I'm going to have to find new methods that I haven't even considered yet. I'm going to maybe have to find people that have skills that I don't have, and I'm going to have to 10x myself and the my connections and my relationships and all of that. So I like you to have a big impossible goal, but the goal itself is just the tool by which you then go, so now what am I going to do in the next 90 days? In the next 90 days, I still might try to achieve a big result, but only if I can do it in a way that I can commit realistically to myself. So for example, um, I might say, well, in the next 90 days, what if I try to make my podcast 10 times higher quality than it is right now? Not necessarily, a lot of my short term goals are about quality, not quantity.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't necessarily go, well, I got to do, more podcasts. I'm just like, how am I going to make it better? Maybe I'm going to have to reach out to Oprah and see if she'll come on. Maybe I'm going to have to, right? Like, and I'm just going to start brainstorming all kinds of ideas, most of which are bad ideas, but there'll be a couple of gems in there. And that's how you make exponential progress. But it's still realistic. If I decide I want to get a really big name on my podcast, then I might say, all right, so I'm going to contact 5 people per day And that's a goal that I'm like, I know I will follow through on that. I wouldn't be like 50 people a day because I know I'll be like, that's too many. I'm
Right.
probably just not going to do it. Do you see what I mean? So
Yep.
it's quality, not quantity a lot of times.
Okay. I love that. What do you say about like if I do a goal and then I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to do a huge goal because I feel guilty when the small ones that I'm not even meeting,
Mm,
and I feel bad about myself. And then there's all these other personal problems that develop from that.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. So this was where, as you and I both know, coaching comes in really handy, having a coach to help you frame things. But what I tell people is that your relationship with your past self matters as well. So if I told myself I was going to do something yesterday and then I didn't do it, then I can beat myself up and be like, what's the matter with you? Why don't you ever do anything? You're such a loser. You're never going to get there. Right. But the truth is, I would never say that to another person. If you told me that you had a goal yesterday and you didn't do it, I'd be like, it's okay. Tomorrow, today's a new day.
Right.
But
Not
with
to keep losing.
ourselves,
Yeah.
we're just like, "You're such a loser. You're never gonna whatever." So I'm like,
Yeah.
what if you treated yourself as kindly as you treat other people?" And I literally every morning and every night as I'm brushing my teeth, I look at myself in the mirror and I just have a nice conversation. Sometimes it's, "Man, you had a great day today. You nailed it." And other times it's like, "Hey, what happened? It seems like we had a plan and then you didn't follow through on any of it. What's going on? What do you need from me? Are you struggling? Do you need some more downtime? Are you not getting enough rest? Did I give you too hard of a goal?" It's like a reasonable conversation like I would have with another person. And it's amazing when you improve your relationship with your past self, you suddenly are really excited to hook up your future self. So because I'm kind of past me, then current me is like, I don't really feel like writing the emails I told myself I was going to write right now. But you know what? Tomorrow, Jody, I'm going to do them and you're going to thank me that they're all done and that now we have some business coming in. So here you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I love it. This has been so good. I want to thank you so much for coming on here. I got some personal coaching. I got a framework.
I
I
mean,
figured out how to change
I
my
could do this all
thoughts.
day.
I seriously am so grateful. So
Yeah.
I'm amazed that you decided to come on this random lighting for profit show.
I'm
You're
happy to have discovered it. And I can't wait for my front yard to be all lit up.
I know. I'm literally I'll connect you with someone for sure. And just want to thank you. If someone wants to reach out, tell us how to get a hold of you, your podcast, all your stuff.
Okay. Yeah, my podcast is called Better Than Happy, and it's all things mindset. And then you can find me on Instagram or Facebook, Jody Moore Coaching, or lots of free resources on my website, jodymoore.com.
Okay. I love it. Well, guys, take advantage of it. Jody's an amazing human being. She's serving the world at the highest capacity, and there's so much stuff. I haven't listened to all of your podcasts, but the ones that I have are amazing. And I'm excited to start applying this framework and see how we can change the world together. So thanks so much for coming on here. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for having me. It's been fun, Ryan.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, guys, you guys have an awesome week. Don't forget to keep moving forward and go check out Jody Moore's podcast and coaching. See you guys.
Bye, everyone.